Hey everybody, it's Louise from Daisy's Workshop, and I just wanted to give you a little demonstration today on reusable stencils and how we can use them for more than just signs, because that's what a lot of people are using them for, and you don't have to put yourself in pigeonhole yourself into just using them for that. So I'll just do a little, I was thinking I was going to finish this sign up with a little pumpkin on the corner. So I'm going to do that and show you how I use them on signs. And then also what one other thing you could try would be t-shirts. And I've done quite a few t-shirts with the reusable stencils, and it's working out really great. So just a quick start, we'll do add the little pumpkin to the bottom of this sign that I've already started, and then we can show you the differences for doing it on a t-shirt. There's so many things that you can use reusable stencils on. I did a whole wall in my bathroom not too long ago with one reusable stencil, and I just kept moving it. And I think I actually have a video to that on this page. So if I think of it, I'll go back and link it. So anyhow, for the, I'm just going to add this little pumpkin. You can see I've used it before onto the bottom of this pumpkin sign. And I don't want to put the entire pumpkin on there. Just want to add it to the edge for a little bit of interest. So I'm going to do some brown for the stem. And I'm using a makeup sponge. And I like to use the flat part of the sponge. That's what works for me. On occasion, I'll use the other parts of it, but that is most often is what I use, is just that flat piece. And then very, very, very light coats. So I'll show you, I put way too much paint on here for this tiny little project that I'm going to do. But anyhow, I'm just going to continue to use this brown sponge with the brown on it. And I thought that color was going to be a little more orange. It's really not. So let's see, I might have a spot of orange down here to add to that. There we go. So this will just be a combination of colors. Again, I'm going to get most of the paint off of my sponge before I start. Just keep dabbing it off. I'm sure you've heard other people say, load on, or load your brush and unload your brush. It's similar, except it's a sponge. So I don't necessarily want this to be too dark. Just a little blurb of color on the bottom of the sign. Give it a little extra interest. So because I'm mixing my colors, the pumpkin is not going to be the exact same color throughout, which is what I'm going for. I'll have some variation. One little bit here, and we'll be done. Okay. So that's that, just a little hint of a pumpkin on the bottom corner is the idea for that. So I'll touch that up and seal it later. Actually, I don't know if I need, see, I think I might put a little bit of wax on it, see how that goes. Anyway, so that's that simple sign making. That's pretty common. A lot of people are doing that. And so I just wanted to show you how you can change it up a bit. Let's get these out of the way and use the same stencils on a t-shirt. So I just put a piece of cardboard in this shirt to keep it flat, and also to keep the paint from going through to the back side. So just want to get it all nice and smooth. And there's a lot of different materials that you can use to paint on fabric. Of course, there's all the fabric paints. You can get really inexpensive fabric paints from places like Amazon, of course, but Walmart, or a lot of different craft stores. They have, what's it called? I had it out here earlier. Tulip brand paint, and it's specifically for fabric. There's also the Speedball ink, which I use a lot of times for fabric. But I didn't have a color that I really wanted to use in the Speedball ink today. So I'm going to show you that you can do this with your whatever paint you're already using for your signs, or this is actually a house paint, and it works really well. So I'm going to put a little on my paint mask, or my paint tray, which is what I'm using for a paint tray. So I can dry it a little bit in the top. And then instead of using the sponge on the t-shirts, I like to use a brush, but you can do either. I've done both. And I just want to do, I'm going to do that same stencil. This one's a tiny bit smaller, but I cut the same stencil for this one. And I just want to do the best centering that I can at this point, and make sure that my thing is straight across. And I do just tack it down on the sides on the t-shirts, because it's a little, there's a little more chance of it moving around. The fabric is on my lap and all that stuff. So just to kind of keep it in place. You don't have to get crazy with the tape, but once you feel comfortable with where you have it and you feel good about it being in the right spot, I just put a couple of bits of blue tape down like that. And then this bit here is going to be a little tricky by the neck because of the stitching, but I'm going to give it a try anyway, because I don't really want it any lower than that. I really like this brush. It's slightly rounded, and you can see I've used it a lot. It's pretty crummy looking, but I like that it's slightly rounded versus a lot of times when you see people stenciling, they're using a very, very flat brush. I don't feel like I get the detail when I use a flat one. So as always, use what works for you. And again, we want to unload the brush. So you're going to load it with paint and then unload it. You do not want a lot of paint on there. Okay, and I'm just going to go with this little goldish color, and we'll see after if it looks like we might need to add something else to brighten it up, but I'm hoping this will be enough. So same idea, we're just going to go lightly over each area of the stencil. And then we can always do a second coat if it seems like it's not going to be dark enough. And sometimes it just depends on the fabric and the paint. Sometimes it soaks in to the fabric and you need to do a second coat, and other times it doesn't. I kind of like it when it's a little bit faded looking, because it looks more like, you know, a faded t-shirt, an older shirt, or, you know, one of your best loved shirts that you've been wearing for a long time, even though that's not the case. I guess vintage look is what I was thinking. It's a little bit slow, but it's not as slow as cutting a vinyl and having to weave the whole thing each and every time. So, and the painting is more or less the same amount of time. So I actually have this SVG for sale on my website. It's actually more than an SVG. It's a zip file, so it comes in several different formats, and it's both in both designs. One with the bridges, so that if you're doing a reusable product or material, you can cut it right away without having to do all the bridging yourself. And then I also have one for the standard vinyl cutting. So I have three formats of each design, one which is a SVG, a JPEG, and a PNG file. So if you want to make one of these for yourself, whether it's a sign or a t-shirt or stencil on the back. I've even done these on my car. We did a celebration for a friend's son. We did one of the drive-by celebrations because we couldn't get together. And I stenciled all of the decorations and the things that we wanted to have on the car. I stenciled them all over the windows. It worked out great. So a lot of different options. So on these ones that are bridged, the bridges are pretty small, and I do try to keep them close to the, when I put the bridges on, I try to keep them close to the other lines. I don't know if that makes sense, but the joining lines, so that if you don't want to fill in your bridges, you don't have to. And it's all personal taste. It's pretty simple to fill them in if you want to do that, but a lot of people want them to kind of look like they're supposed to be there so that they don't have to fill them in. So that is what I strive for when I'm making the files, so that you don't have to go back and fill in those bridges if that's your preference. I'll show you where these are when we take the thing off. Let's see if I have a little. Here we go. A little tribal paint in there. Does it want to come out? So as you can see, the t-shirt soaks up a little more paint than the wood signs do. So I'm going to do a second coat really quickly. The nice thing about that is you have that first coat that's down has just kind of sealed the t-shirt a little bit. By now it's already dried because it's so thin, or partially dried at least. And so then when you go back with your second coat, it's quite a bit darker right off the bat because it's not soaking in. One thing I notice with these brushes, I don't know if it's the type of bristle. I want to say it's boar's head bristles. I'm not sure. Boar's head. Why would it be that? Boar bristles? I don't know. Anyway, what I've noticed is they dry out really fast if you leave the paint on them. So it's just a matter of a few minutes, and you need to get them in water, otherwise it's nearly impossible to get the paint off. So, and I feel like that's not the case with all the brushes, but with these in particular, it is. So just something to watch out for depending on what brushes you're using in your projects. We've been gone so much lately. I'm so happy to have a weekend at home. That's why I decided to do this today. We have kids and grandkids to visit, and we just haven't been around the house. So we're getting some things caught up today here, and I just wanted to show you these t-shirts, and I really like the vintage feel of them, so I'm hoping you will as well. All right, so I think I'm done with that. I'm just going to pull off the tape. Yeah, it turned out. And I don't wash these. I just let it dry, use them maybe a dozen times or so, and then I can cut a new one if I'm still wanting to make that or whatever the case. So I will set it down here and show you the shirt. Here's my Hello Pumpkin shirt, or Hey There Pumpkin. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you try one for yourself. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you want some help with cutting your stencils or anything like that. Enjoy your Sunday, and I hope to see you back here soon.